Hi everybody, I'm just going to try another live video, see what happens. Yeah, I've started one and turned it off. I'll just go again. Don't know who's going to be around. We're just going to see how it goes. I'll give it 2 or 3 minutes, and if there's some people want to say hello or join in, fantastic. I'm just going to be looking at a few things that I've picked up the last few bits and bobs I've picked up. But generally, this is stuff off the shelf and stuff I want to continue with the acid folk thing, because I know there's a few people interested in that. And we're going to see how we go with it. Now, anyone's here to say hello, that would be great. I'm just going to show a couple of things. First of all, I've just been playing lately. I just think, wow, these are fantastic. Oh, look, I lost a watcher. I can understand that. Maybe the picture's not so good again today. Maybe another light would help. This is Metz. This is on Sub Pop from 2012. This is a fantastic little thrash album, sort of punk thrash, slightly Nirvana-ish in places, but far more thrash. And each track is a couple of minutes long. It's a very short album, which is the way you want it. Great little thing, that, and highly recommended. Should be able to pick that up cheaply. Great little album. Yeah, put it on in the car, put it on at home. Just, it's hard to stop, you know. It's really hard to stop. Anyway, yeah, there's a few bits and bobs I've been playing lately. Just stuff I just like, you know. Hi Rob, how you doing? Yeah, I was going to mention earlier about doing this, and I was in two minds. I'm just going to show a few bits that I've been playing and stuff on acid folk, and other bits and bobs. Anyway, it's just some bits I've played recently. Start off with a few CDs. Penguin Cafe Orchestra. I'm not sure if I did. I think I may have. I don't know. I didn't see it. I just streamed a video which lasted a couple of minutes, and I ended it. But hello anyway. Yes, this is a fantastic record. Their first two albums are really good. A bit oblique, a little bit unusual in the construction of their songs and their pieces. But wow, these are fantastic. I don't think there's anyone who would listen to this who wouldn't like it. A little bit offbeat, but at the same time, you know, thoroughly engaging and very rewarding. Wonderful listen. Just a little bit offbeat, but fantastic. Similar kind of ilk. I'm not going to say early Eno, but that'll kind of make you think of albums that aren't quite like it. But yeah, it's not dissimilar in certain places to certain pieces that Eno's done. The first two albums definitely are worth having. I've got another live one. It's not quite as good. Here also, Amandul, this is one, the first band. What a fantastic album this is. I think this is their best. These are all famously, all from the same session, their albums, 5 albums, all from the same session. And this is the pick of the bunch. It also has Eternal Flow and Paramechanical World on the back as extras, which singles A's and B's. Brilliant stuff. Highly recommended. And easily the best of Amandul 1. Some long pieces, Love is Peace. Show Snow Your First and Sun Your Open Mouth. Great stuff. Never seen the original vinyl in the flesh, as it were. Great one. I don't know if you got any questions or anything, but anyway, yes. What's this? Okay. This is Colin Newman, A to Z, from Wyatt. I pick a lot of my CDs up in the charity shops. All of these. No, Amandul 1 I didn't. But yeah, these I did. This is a really unusual find. I think a lot of people just overlook it thinking who's Colin Newman. But of course, he was in Wyatt. And this also has, if you heard This Mortal Coil, It'll End in Tears, it has the track Not Me covered. And this is the original version on here. I don't know if you can see that. The light is terrible. Yeah, great stuff. It's a little bit, as you'd expect, it's kind of new wave. Some of the production is sort of new wave, but it definitely has the wonder of his voice, and it's up there. You can easily sit it alongside the first Wire albums. A nice little thing, and it's fairly cheap to pick up. Okay, I'm going to do a little section later of albums on the shelf that I've never played. Shockingly, there's so many albums on my shelves that I've never played. Yeah. And some of them are just shocking. But anyway, I've left some up, so I think some are just too shocking. You think, what? You've never heard that album? But anyway, we'll see. Right, what I'm going to do is, because I'm kind of all over the place here, as usual, because it's just a random, let's just pick it off. There will be a focus on the acid folk, but anyway, I'm rambling, and people don't really watch these live videos back. And if they do, for a few minutes. Anyway, here is The Bird in the Bush. Oh yeah, fantastic. That is a really good book. There's two. What's the other one? There's another book with a very similar cover, which is on acid folk, and both are equally worthy of your attention. I didn't realise. I have to go and check. I haven't been watching as many videos lately. Yeah, The Bird in the Bush, as it says, traditional erotic songs. And what's good about this is you see Anne Briggs here, famous, of course, for a couple of wonderful records. This also has Dave Swarbrick on the violin. He seems to get around everywhere at this point. Martin Carthy and Fairport Convention and everything, of course. Yeah, great stuff though. And maybe not everyone's cup of tea because it's very traditional. And it's obviously very UK folk. In fact, I've just recalled while I'm showing this, I'll show another. I've got a US blues compilation of a similar kind of ilk. This is on Topic. And we all know what has a hazelnut in every bite if you live in the UK. Let me get the other one, it's just here. This is an album I've yet to play, and I don't know if I ever will. Copulating Blues, Volume 2. There are tracks on here with the titles kind of beg a belief, really. And these are all like from the 1930s, late 20s, early 30s, when maybe restrictions were not so. Yeah, it's silly, isn't it? Where restrictions and censorship was not as strong. So here we've got songs. Well, I think I'll show you if you can see some of these. I think enough said. This is far more in your face, of course. The English one is more of an erotic thing, suggestion, etc., etc. Whereas the blues one is just straight out. Just let's say it straight, and we're not messing around here. Okay. This is actually on Stash Records Inc. I'll probably never play it. That kind of stuff is a bit too close to the bone for me, so to speak. Anyway, I'm just picking up random albums before you get too into it. I've been listening to a little bit of this lately. The Undisputed Truth. for me, probably one of the best of the funk artists from the mid-70s. Really strong. I like the originality of that sound. I mean, the funkadelic kind of became funkadelic sounding, if you know what I mean. Everything it sounded like funkadelic. Whereas these guys had a kind of spacey vibe. You can tell even on here. One of our famous tracks is called UFO. Here we've got Cosmic Contact. I mean, this is all produced by Norman Whitfield and written by him. But the emphasis was on a kind of space theme. And I think it works because it allowed them to be more cosmic, as it were, and kind of explore and kind of head out into extra territory, a bit like Funkadelic, but in their own unique style. And I think this is in some ways better than some Funkadelic. I think the production on it is really good. Really good. It's clear, it's crisp production, but it's got that real warmth to it. Great. A bit like the Temptations records from the early 70s. Norman Whitfield again, I suppose. Great little record, that one. Not so easy to come by. I don't really see Undisputed Truth at all very often. So when I saw that, I thought, I'm having it. Occasionally see those singles, yeah. Anyway, let's just do a couple more with some odd ones I found. A couple more. This is not an album I thought I'd ever show, because everyone, well, I suppose everyone assumes they know it. Famous for Fast Car, of course. I remember when I first went to work, it was everywhere, and this picture was everywhere, and this album was everywhere. But I found that, a lot of these records, you hear them on the radio, and they have a certain sound, and you associate it with radio. And there's a kind of tinniness and like a lot of albums, like the Queen songs and stuff, you never actually listen to them on record or on CD even. You don't get the sense of what this music is actually like and how good it can be. This album is astonishingly well produced. Astonishing. The clarity and the songs themselves are really, really well made. I mean, created, composed. It's just wonderful stuff. I was quite surprised by it, actually. It's not the kind of thing I'd normally listen to, but I thought I saw a bunch of different records, female artists, a few months back, and it just blew me away just how good that is. So it took it away from the realms of the radio to me and to the mid-80s sound, and it kind of exalted it and elevated it somewhere else. And I can see why it's so popular, and it's still selling well now. It's going up and up in price all the time. I wouldn't normally have considered ever showing that. I did actually post this on Instagram a few weeks back. This is from 1992. Again, very difficult album to find now because it's early 90s. It's probably £30 or £40 a shop. Same thing. Wonderful production. It's not the kind of thing I listen to particularly often, this kind of singer-songwriter stuff. Not of this period anyway, but these are definitely not going to go anywhere. I was originally thinking I'll just pass them on, but actually they're staying with me. Okay, now then, this is going to perhaps lose some of you who don't really know about the subject, but I'm going into a little bit of acid folk here. This is Circulus. Clocks Are Like People. And there's a bit of a resurgence in the acid folk sound. Most of it we associate with the early 70s, late 60s, early 70s. This is a white vinyl. And there's a free single in this one. And here is our first album. You can see what you're in for. Now, if you like that acid folk sound and you want good quality acid folk, you want top quality and stuff that you maybe haven't heard before, this is where to go. This band really are in a class of their own. It's a shame they only did 2 or 3 albums and they've kind of disappeared. But wonderful, wonderful stuff. You know, you can tell by the pictures where they're coming from. They have a real sense of what folk music, what medievalism, you know, what not necessarily paganism, but that kind of feel. But there's a little playfulness. There's also synthesizers on this, which sets it apart from a lot of other albums of that, you know, that kind of ilk. It's a fun record. Both of them very, very good. Yeah. Yeah. I don't really know how to say it without butchering it. Pereira. This again is a very obscure record. It's been re-released. They actually did three albums, I think, at this time, and all are very, very good. This is the pick of a bunch. Again, this is actually sung in Welsh, and but the Welsh, you don't even notice the Welsh vocals. This actually sounds like a lot of other albums. I say it makes it sound like it's derivative, which it isn't. Because it's a Welsh album, you know, it sounds Celtic, as you can tell. It has that kind of feel about it. But again, it's a record which surpasses a lot of other albums, I think. I've seen in lists that this is usually up in the top 20 acid folk albums, and it's understandable. There's a lovely feel to it. There's a slightly progressive element to some of the songs. And the instrumentation and the craftsmanship of these songs is top notch. I'll show one more. I'm losing people. It's the acid folk thing. This is Wicker. This is their their second album. Again, beautiful covers, beautiful stuff. Yeah, I sold it in my other video. I showed the first lot I want to show. These are extremely atmospheric, extremely interesting records. This in particular, that first album, I was initially thinking it was better, but actually, it's quite hard to get that first one. It's about £40 or £50 now. They only ever released a few hundred copies. And they played live a few times over the last year or so. This band, exceptional stuff. This is where a lot of the bands of the late 60s really would have been heading, I think, if they'd have carried on in that similar kind of ilk instead of becoming more kind of commercial. Great album. Highly recommend looking, if you're into any kind of acid folks, looking at these albums and listening to them, checking them out. This can be bought fairly cheaply at the moment, anyway. You see a lot of acoustic instruments and a real, again, I'm not afraid, a bit like Espers, I'm not afraid to kind of experiment and go out on a limb. Great stuff. Highly recommended. And I'll just do one more. If I can get out. This probably has one of the best covers seen for a long time. Constantine, Day of Light. This is probably almost a kind of masterpiece level of music. Again, it's sort of Donovan-ish, but there's far more to it. It's psychedelic. The first track is perhaps a little bit, well, where's this album going? And it takes a little bit of a while to kind of settle. And then after that, it's in a class of its own. It really is a marvelous album. Again, atmosphere, but just the quality of the songs and the singing, the instrumentation. Some wonderful stuff on here. There's a lot of mellotron, vox organ, sitars, harmoniums, auto harps, vibraphones, marimbas. This is like the great lost psychedelic acid folk album, although it was only recorded a few years ago. Now, there may be a tendency for people to think, oh, well, if it's from that period, if it's not from that period, somehow it is derivative and it's false, so it's a bit fake. But we don't say that about the 80s garage revival. You know, we know that there are people in this world, and all of us now, we listen to music which still resonates with us. Doesn't matter when it was created. And if this is what moves you and what you feel, then why not create it? And this guy has created it exceptionally well. Beautiful, beautiful record. Highly, highly recommend that. And I keep saying these, I'm not messing around with you guys. These are top quality. I spent a long time kind of seeking out the best, and these are the best. Okay, now then, I didn't do the vinyl tag because I thought, well, I've been humming and howling about the VC for a long time for various reasons. But if I was going to do the trilogy, this is the trilogy, well, one of them I was going to show. I just had to pull these off and thought about, I'll say that in relation to that. Joy of a Toy, Kevin Ayers. Wonderful record, of course. And again, quintessentially English. I must do a video on quintessentially English records. This is up there. Top quality. Playful, fun, interesting, quirky, eccentric. Everything he became renowned for, of course. Here's Shooting at the Moon. Kevin Ayers. This is with the whole world. So here is Mike Oldfield. This is a 80s reissue. Lol Coxhill on here, David Bedford. But Mike Oldfield's blistering guitar work on this album, I mean, it just raises this album. A lot of these songs he used to play in 5/4 time, so it gives them a slightly different sound, and you're not expecting necessarily what's going to come next. And he did it brilliantly well. This album does have one weak moment, which is this piece of Donald violin, which is just a little bit like Moonchild on King Crimson, you know, Call the Crimson King. It's just like, who listens to that? No one wants to listen to that. You listen to it once and go, oh, that's 10 minutes of my life wasted. And you can't wait until the next song. Starts off beautifully, of course, the 2 minutes of that wonderful Moonchild track. Am I saying Moonchild? Is that the right song? Yeah. But this, again, wonderful stuff. It starts off with a really lovely song. It's quite a gentle song about sitting in a French cafe when he sees a girl, and then he says hi, this sort of stuff. Lovely song. And then it goes off into all sorts of bizarre territory at times. But for me, this is a very cohesive album. It also has a couple of lovely songs. Clarence in Wonderland, another quirky, weird one, and Shooting of the Moon, Red, Green, and New Blue. These are intense songs, some of these. Intense pieces of music. Not something you naturally associate with Kevin Ayers if you don't know him, or if you've only heard of him. And in that trilogy, Whatever She Brings We Sing, all one word. I'm surprised it's not in the dictionary. Again, lovely album. With Robert Wyatt singing. You've never listened to him. I don't know if that's some sort of joke on. I think it probably is, because that monkey sort of gives you a... However, I haven't listened to all that stuff. I've got some of their later period stuff. I don't really like it. It's too cold. Sometimes I want to feel the music, and it doesn't always make me feel anything. Sometimes intensity and intellectualism are not necessarily what I want. I want to feel it. I want some soul, But again, there's a trilogy of albums. Wonderful, wonderful records. Well, I recommend listening to, everyone says it, but listen to In the Call of the Crimson King. Listen to the 21st Century Schizoid Man and maybe the title track, and it'll give you an idea I mean, really, you only need that album. Who cares? People say, yeah, get Red, get the others, whatever. Yeah, it's definitely worth listening to. If you've never heard him, you've got to give him a spin. You may go, wow, this is absolutely what I've always wanted to hear. You may think, oh my goodness, I never want to hear that again. But again, great album. I won't keep people for too long here because, like I say, these live videos, people don't seem to watch them back and no one cares. Anyway, on that album, of course, Robert Wyatt sings. Robert Wyatt, famous Soft Machine, of course, and lovely singer. And I thought I'd just pull this off because it was up on the shelf next to one of the others. This is a copy of Old Rotten Hat. Now that's Pink. Mid-80s album by Robert Wyatt. Probably his best from that period. Lovely, lovely tracks. Some of it's political. He was quite political at the time, heavily socialist. There's the British Road about, a mass medium. All of these things are about political things, but not in a kind of, oh, I can't listen to this, or it's too in your face. It's too heavy-handed. He still had subtlety, and because of the catchiness of the songs and the lovely kind of lilt to some of the music, you just go with it and maybe don't realize you're being influenced. Brainwashed, they used to say back in the day. But no, lovely, lovely songs. But also, of course, because he was left-wing and political at the time, they still have a little bit of an edge, a bite to them if you really listen. But the quality of the music speaks for itself, stands apart really. Okay, now then, I'm racing through these because of the time. A bit of me just thinks, oh, just relax, man, just sit here all afternoon, why not? A bit like Dead Wax 66, just go for 4 or 5 hours, why not? But I'm only putting certain records off now. I have to be getting up, and I don't know. Depends what you want. Yeah, the album prior to this as well, Nothing Can Stop Us, is more political. But yeah, I think if you're into that kind of thing, these aren't. You're going to like it. I think the music itself will carry it anyway. Right, as promised, here's a little section of records I've never played. I mean, 1 or 2 of these you might think, well, that's understandable. Roy Harper's Bull in a Ming Vase. I really like early Roy Harper, but I've never listened to this album. Exactly, Shipbuilding. Timeless. Elvis Costello wrote that, of course. Timeless piece. Yeah, I've never listened to this album. Mind you, perhaps a lot of people haven't listened to this album. I've got so many, which I haven't listened to. Okay. I've never listened to this album. Yeah, some people might be shocked by that. Actually, I've really liked Joni Mitchell of it, but her mid-70s stuff, I've never ever listened to this. I really have to be able to sit down and listen. I'm not in the mood for sitting down and listening most of the time. I tend to be up and about and faffing around. But I've never listened to that album. Now this actually, as I'm holding this up, I'm thinking, wow, maybe 30 years ago. I think I listened to it, or I heard it 30 years ago. But it's Soft Machine. It's one of her late albums. Do I care if I ever listen to this album? Not really. As you notice in a lot of my other videos, I say stuff like, I don't even know why I bother collecting records of them I don't like. Again, this one, as I'm holding up, I'm thinking, maybe about 30 years ago, but not on vinyl. Remember, someone had a tape of it, I believe, maybe a blank tape recorder. But again, it's too late for me. Although I have heard people say that it's a very good record. Yeah, King Gizzard and the Wizard Lizard, and now that's a band who I've kind of flirted with here and now. I've listened to bits, but I haven't ever bought anything. I never released a lot of stuff in a short space of time. And again with Joni, you got to go for her first record. Blue, beautiful album, first album. There are so many great songs. In fact, yeah, Ladies of the Canyon, another great song. Well, I'm just going to show a few bits, and I'll probably have to end it because, that's the way things go, isn't it? Yeah, I've heard that very good live, very good. I'm just going to show, and I know people really don't like 45s in the VC. I'm just going to show a few bits I picked up over the last few weeks. Found a copy of this the other day. The Chords, Maybe Tomorrow. Not a big fan of the A side, but what it does have is I Don't Want to Know, and a cover version of Hey Girl by the Small Faces on the B side. Great B side. And what's not to like about a bit of mod? It's just some great stuff. I have that single. Yeah. 2000 mod singles. Was it actually that many released? Okay, this is one of my favorites of all time. I remember listening to it the first time as a boy. I've actually got this a few times, but every time I see it, I pick it up because it's never in perfect condition. But this one is spotless, but it doesn't have the center. It is Blackfoot Sue, Standing in the Road. You see, a lot of the time I use a little adapter anyway. It's usually on there because I play a lot of US 45s. Yeah, Standing in the Road, Blackfoot Sue, absolutely classic, heavy glam piece. Once you've heard it, I mean, it just sticks in your head. Great little song, that one. Known it for years since I was a boy. This is a nice little single, not something you see every day. The Rays, Daddy Cool, which Darts did in this country back in the late 70s, early 80s. Great song. Forgot how good this was. And I didn't realise, I've never heard the original before hearing this, and I really do like a bit of rock and roll in it. This is fantastic. Got that lovely rock and roll sound, that production of the time. Beautiful stuff. Let's have a look here. What else we got? Just showing a few things. Ghost Town, of course, by the Specials. Probably got that a few times. Every time I see these two-tone singles cheap, I pick them up. Always. I did have the Specials' first single. Yeah, I saw it, in fact, a few years ago, I saw the Specials' first single in the shop without this two-tone label, the original stamped label, which is very rare. And I remember thinking, oh, someone's just stamped it, and I switched it over for one of these. I left it in the shop. I mean, that is so difficult to find. It's also a translucent red vinyl, the first single. That's one way of distinguishing it. I love all that translucent red stuff. Like Joy Division's first album, Translucent Red. Anyway. Yeah, another copy of Shack Up by Bandura. This is probably the deepest, heaviest funk bass line and guitar line you're ever going to hear, with part 2 on the B side. Don't think you can see that. Classic. And if you only listen to one thing after this video, listen to this. Shack Up by Bandura. That's Banbarra. Absolutely stonking. What else we got here? Yeah, some obscure stuff here. This is, let me see what it seems like. This is a lovely little single, Stay a Little Bit Longer by Delano Stewart. Someone's drawn very nicely on this high note single. This is a lovely little reggae tune. It's so mellow and so cool, and oh, this is lovely. Such a sweet song. Stay a little bit longer. It's about the woman saying, "Stay a little bit longer. Stay the night with me." Really lovely stuff. Oh, here we go. This is it. Yeah. I believe this is it. Yeah, this is Mississippi Water by The Bridge. Very obscure. Normally pick it up. But it's actually the same song as And Weller's Dream, the psychedelic band. It's actually them under a different name. The same song. I don't know why, but that's really released on this really tiny little label, Revival Records, called Mississippi Water. Bizarre. That's my other half. She's watching something in the other room. Of course, another timeless single, Bacon by Time Box. Classic 60s. Soul mod. Great little track. Soul thing, yeah, Northern Soul, really. Do a couple more. This is a lovely, lovely, lovely song. Oh, it's just so good. The Duprees, Around the Corner. Now, again, great little track. Doesn't last very long. 2 minutes, 13 seconds. And it's about going to meet his girlfriend around the corner. But he'll get beaten up if he goes around there. Wonderful. What you can fit into a 2-minute song. The story and the music is so good. I mean, 2 minutes, what you can achieve. I always love that. Some of my favourite pieces are less than 2 minutes long. I'm just always amazed by what you can do in that time. So here's a lovely warped copy. The Fire Corner by King Stitt and the Dynamites. But, you know, reggae stuff is always knackered. John Public on the beats there. Lovely stuff. I don't know if you ever heard some of these songs, but they're great. The sound of these old reggae singles, some of them are just so deep and powerful. Sometimes you wish all music sounded like that. Okay. This is quite a rare single, actually. This is a Benny King. Cry No More. There's No Place to Hide. Quite a rare Northern Soul single. People regularly pay around £40-50 for that. Nice little find, that one. I showed this one some while back now. This is Vagabond by Prince Buster. Another great find on Blue Beat with Come Get Me on the other side. Anyway, you know, I mean, there's a whole pile more. I don't want to be boring people any more than I need to. You know, because there's the borderline where you end up sort of boring yourself. I don't think that's possible. I'm sure I can't bore myself. Anyway, I suppose I'll call it a day there unless anyone's got any more questions. Otherwise, let's see if I can get my... Otherwise, I'll say, well, I'll have to see you later. And I made... Yeah, I think I've overstayed my welcome. The Vinyl Geek, he goes, 45 minutes, that's enough. And, you know, I could carry on for ages, but I won't, because it gets a little bit silly. All right, well, you have a fantastic afternoon, and who knows, I may well pop up again before too long. So it's good hanging out with you, and I'll see you all soon. See ya.